Hello, hello. I am Leah Piper. I am your Tantra expert here at the Sex Reimagined Podcast.
And I'm Dr. Willow Brown, your Taoist sexuality expert. We are so excited for the interview, and you're going to love this, is with one of Leah's friends, and she is a prison wife.
Yeah, Simply Neek. We have the richest conversations, me and Neeks. We get on the phone or we go for a visit and we just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And she's really lets us inside of the life of being a prison wife and raising kids and creating a strong foundation for a happy, healthy, loving marriage. And to talk about the life of being partnered with someone who's incarcerated and maybe the unique complications that come with that, and also the incredible love that can come from that, because love can be found anywhere and everywhere, and you'll see that in this episode. So please
tune in, turn on, and fall in love with Neeks.
Welcome to the Sex Reimagined Podcast, where sex is shame-free and pleasure-forward. Let's get into the show.
So this is a real treat for me because I moved to Sacramento maybe, it's going on 2 years. And Simply Neek, how long have we known each other? Would you say are we going on a year?
Yeah.
She reached out to me, and I think we were probably on the phone for almost 2 hours that night.
Right.
This is how her and I operate. It's so fun. I feel like every time we either get together or have a phone call, we think it's going to be like an hour. And then the next thing you know, it's 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that we're the same age and she lives in Sacramento. I was tickled to have a new friend in town. So, hey, sister, so happy to have you.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited to hear about your journey and all that you've transcended in your life. Sounds like you have, from what Leah told me, you've really had a unique experience in love and intimacy thus far in your life.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to have Simply Neek on the podcast because I think she has a special love story. And I would love to just hear a little bit about that. One of the things that she first said to me is, I'm a prison wife. And I said, a prison wife?
Yes.
Tell me more. And as we got to, talking about her love story and raising kids and doing life and being an entrepreneur, of course, one of my big curiosities was like, okay, I know about conjugal visits. Do you get to have some of that yumminess too? And I researched it, and only 4 states in the U.S. have conjugal visits. So I want to just give it up to California right now.
That's kind of shocking that only 4 states allow conjugal visits. I mean, that's
know.
just,
I
I
think
think
that's
it's
kind of fucked
inhumane to not offer conjugal visits.
Yeah, California even started offering it to, I'm not sure if the law passed yet, but they're either just passed or working on death row inmates having conjugal visits. I know this is kind of backwards, but I have one coming up. So I'm just anxious for that right now. It's on the 28th, so I'm excited for that. But
okay.
yeah, like Willow said, it has definitely been a journey. We've been doing this for 10 years now.
Wow.
And
together for 10 years or married for 10 years?
Married for 7 years, doing prison for 9 years, and together for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And how often do you get to have conjugal visits?
it depends on the prison. So this prison, he got approved for the visit in January. We didn't get the visit until August.
Wow. Just so much
Right.
bureaucracy and paperwork and stuff to sift through, huh?
And COVID, everything is COVID.
yeah.
COVID this, COVID that. But
Right.
prior to this prison, we were getting them like every 30 to 45 days. And
okay.
different
And-
prisons are different.
How much time do you usually get? How much time do they give you to be together?
Again, that depends on the prison, because the last prison, when we first got there, our first visit was like, I think 72 hours. It's supposed to be 72 hours, but it's more like
Wow.
a day and a half. Literally like a day and a half. They get you in late.
More like
They get you in late, and they bring you out early.
that's not
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, really? That's stupid.
And they call every 5 minutes at nighttime. Every 5 minutes. So you
They
can't
call
really.
every 5 minutes?
They call every 5 minutes, and he still has to do check-in, like come
Oh,
to the get dressed up and come outside for
wow.
the count. I mean,
Oh, so it's a more of a
Wow.
disturbed sort of
right.
experience.
It's not really every 5 minutes. It's probably more like every hour or two, but it
Okay.
seems like every 5 minutes. As soon as
Okay.
you fall asleep, they're calling again.
Uh,
Wow. Okay, so here my first reaction was 72 hours. That is so generous. Like,
Right.
that is
right.
really awesome. You get like a
Right.
long weekend. Like, there's lots of couples
They
where,
don't get 72
you
hours
know, they
together.
might have sex once a month if
Yeah.
they're lucky. And like, it's like a getaway weekend, right? For like
Right.
3 days.
Yep.
And then as you're going on, it's like, oh, wait a minute. No, they kind of,
It's a lot that goes
they,
with that.
Mhm.
right,
Yeah. It's a lot
right. I
that goes with
imagine.
that.
And I'm sure it's not like the whole time you're together isn't just intimacy. You're
Yeah.
probably catching up on 1,000 things.
We can catch up in between. I mean, in the process of intimacy, like I don't know, I'm kind of clingy with my husband, so I am like intimate the whole time. Even if I'm cooking, I'm like, babe, I need you to be, front and center right here.
Mhm.
And I'm cooking with love too, so I feel like everything is
Fun.
intimate.
So you get to cook.
Yeah, there's like a full kitchen. You can bring groceries.
Okay, this new prison that he came to, it does have a stove. The last one only had a microwave. So just imagine me trying to put something together, and they don't really have like fresh food. This new prison has more fresh food, but the other ones just have like pouch meats and dried, what is it? Freeze dried
Freeze-dried
stuff.
food.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
So
backpacking
yeah.
food. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Can you bring any
too.
stuff in with you?
If you have a doctor's note, you can bring things in,
Mm.
like as far as food goes. And
A
so
doctor's
my
note for
daughter's,
you. Like, I need these
yes.
specific foods. Okay.
hmm
Mhm.
And my daughter has that. So when she comes, I could get away with bringing certain things.
Okay.
But other than that, I just gotta improvise and
Be creative.
yes, very creative.
What is the space like that you're given? Is it like a 1-bedroom apartment type
It's a
thing?
2-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
kind of like a hospital, like a big hospital room, I would say.
Oh,
It's like a big,
Okay.
two. Most of them are pretty okay, pretty decent.
Mm.
Most of them.
do they have like a warm environment, or are they a little bit more kind of stark, like a hospital environment? Are they decorated? I'm just curious, like, what's the vibe?
Yeah, this one that we're at now is like not. They do have a bathtub and a stove. That's the plus, but there was like bugs the whole time, like.
Mm.
And when I say bugs the whole time, we would sweep them and they would just be right back, like little
Oh.
beetle bugs. So
Mm.
this place is like not, but there have been places that are like, okay, this is kind of cute and cozy. I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So every
And
place has its
and
pros
it's
and cons.
within the prison itself, correct?
Yes, it's on prison ground.
Okay, interesting. Is it like a separate building than the actual?
Sometimes, most of the times it is. This one is like, I think it's like 8 of the little apartments in a row. Some of them are like duplexes, or there was one that was like an apartment complex type of thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so it's different.
And so, like, my understanding also is that it's not just like conjugal, romantic. Here's a chance to have some lovely,
Hanky-panky.
intimate time with your partner, but it's a family thing too,
Mhm.
right? So, like you said, you can bring your daughter,
Yeah,
so
the
the
kids are
whole
coming
family
this
can
time.
come. And it's nice because if it's got 2 bedrooms in it, you can
Mhm.
still create some privacy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're like taking care of the whole family, making them food, and visiting with dad.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's really sweet.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
how, because I mean, sure, it's wonderful to be with your partner, but you would miss, your kids and your family life too. Is there anyone else that you can bring with you, family wise, or is it just kids and you?
Well, it's his immediate family. So his grandma, his
Okay.
mom, sisters, and brother, dad, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you have conjugal visits with him, does the whole family sometimes come? Like other
Well, the
family
kids
members?
are coming this time, yes.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Just the kids. I try to get his grandma to come, but she's not there yet.
Okay.
She's not
Okay.
because you're there the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, you can't leave. Like once
Right.
you're in, you're
Right.
in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so
But the
interesting.
kids love it. They love it. And I love to see them and him interacting with each other. I just sit back and watch. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The
That's
last
sweet.
place had snow, so that was good. They played in the snow.
Oh, there was snow. Oh,
There was a
that's sweet.
time where they chased a lizard caught the lizard played dead, and I kept telling him the whole time, it's not dead. He's just doing that to trick you guys.
I love it.
And exactly. As soon as I freed him, he was on his way.
Oh my gosh. So it just must be so blissful for him to have this time with you guys. I mean, it must be like something that he just looks forward to so much.
He's always counting down the days,
Yeah, I bet.
the minutes and the
Gosh.
hours. Yeah.
Wow.
You know how sometimes like you really look forward to something, but almost like I know I could self-sabotage
Mhm.
this thing that I would look forward to, right? Like you want it to be perfect and then you have a fight,
Mhm.
Oh
So
my gosh.
Does that ever happen?
Yes.
Mm.
There was the first time I had a headache the whole weekend because he pissed me off before I got there because I was late. I'm always late. I was running late and he was getting on my nerves and I got upset and it was hot and it was just a lot. It's a lot to get there because usually he's either like 3.5 to 6 hours to 8 hours away. 10 hours was the longest time that I traveled to him. So it's a lot to get there.
Yeah.
It's a lot to get there.
That is
So
far.
I was pissed the whole weekend and I can't have medicine in there unless it's prescribed by a doctor. So that was not a good weekend,
Mm.
even though it was a good weekend, but I had a headache the whole time.
Oh, so you can't have like Tylenol with you or anything?
No, but I have a doctor's note now because I get migraines a lot and I
Okay, so
don't
you
want
have to
that
have-
weekend to
yeah.
replay itself at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared in that way.
Yes, you have to. You can only
So
get
in
so
this-
prepared though, because you can't bring this and you can't bring that and you can only bring, there's so many things that you can't bring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like for me personally, I'd want to bring lubricant.
Yes. So I improvise with those things. I used to bring coconut oil because that really works for me, but now we've got
Yeah.
it to where we don't. We just
Okay.
make it work.
Okay.
Make it work.
And it
Good.
works.
So, I mean, being so far away, even though they might allow you to see each other every, 5 or 6 weeks?
Well, so
Like, how many
we
times a
saw
year
it.
do you
We
get to
saw
see
it
him?
at this new place. I feel like it's gonna be like twice a year because I saw him in August, and then now we're having one on the 28th of this month. So
Now, but you get to have just in-person visits with him in between as well, correct? But it's so far though.
it's so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were to visit him just not during one of those 2-day experiences, how much time do you get with him otherwise?
It's dependent on when you get there. So I think they usually open up about 8:30, but you would probably have to make an appointment for that time, and then So again, they bring you in late and kick you out early. So
Early.
it's
right.
supposed to be from 8:30 to like 2:30 or 3:30, but you never get that much time. And then
And you probably don't get a private room, right?
no, everybody's up together, and it can get crowded. And sometimes you can't even hear each other talk because there's so many people. There's kids, and some people just naturally talk loud. And my voice is so low, and he's like, "What'd you say? Huh?" And sometimes you can't. You have to sit across the table from each other. So
You can't sit next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, some places they don't let you sit next to each other.
Can you hold hands across the table?
Sometimes, depending on the place.
But sometimes not. Now, who decides like where he moves from prison to prison? Like, is it just a bureaucratic shuffle or what?
That's what I feel like it is. Sometimes it's like the point level. So like, they have the level 3 to 4, I think so. Or 1 to 4, the
Like
level.
maximum security versus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that plays a part in it. And I would imagine that availability plays a part in it. And then it's like status. Like you could be a level 3 person, but have 180 points or 240 points or however that works out. And they'll send you to a place according to space and things like that. But they don't follow the rules because you're not supposed to be so far away. And he's always over that number, whatever that number is. So.
I see. He's not supposed to be so many hours away from you. Is that what you're saying?
Hours, or I think it's like miles, but whatever the case, he's not supposed to be so far away.
Yeah. But they don't follow that.
They don't. And so I don't have medical issues to where I could say, hey, I can't do this because, of this. But usually a person would have a medical exemption to get their person closer to them. Okay. Even though it's a law, they're not supposed to go so far away. But
wow. Yeah, it's amazing how many laws just get like swept under the rug. Don't need to honor that law or this law or that law.
You have no idea.
Oh my goodness. It must be really challenging to try to be in relationship. I mean, to be in relationship and with all these restrictions on top. I mean, relationships are hard enough as it is for most of us, so when you add all this like external restriction that you don't have any control over, it's, you guys must just have stellar communication, I imagine, to be able to navigate this.
Yes. And that is a part of our foundation. So when we first started this, we laid down a foundation with 4 pillars, and they are communication. And as long as we're always communicating, I can trust that you're going to be honest about things. So that's how we're building trust, communication, trust, honesty, and I can't remember the last one, but those main 3 are the ones that we're operating on, because I have to trust that you're going to communicate with me. And as long as that you keep communicating and being honest about the things you're communicating, I could always trust that everything is everything. So, yeah.
So what's the day-to-day like? Do you guys have a chance to communicate, or and what kind of communication do you get? Do you get a chance to communicate every day, every week? Is it via the phone, email? What kind of access does he have?
So that's one thing that I try to have, all the forms of communication. Like, I try to do all the forms. Right now I'm not doing visiting, but there's points in times where I would literally be visiting every weekend, visiting, calling. If they have video visits and I can't make it on a certain day, I'm doing video visits. I'm writing. I'm doing all the forms of communication so that we could keep that bond strong. Because the more time that elapses, sometimes the communication can get broke down, or feelings could evolve into something that is not.
Absolutely. Yeah, that happens a lot with long distance, where the communication isn't consistent enough, and then things go awry.
Well, shit, that happens in relationships with somebody you live
That's
with.
true.
I mean,
Good point.
Right.
It's like I think also like the longer relationship goes, like sometimes we start to forget that we have to communicate, to connect, to reassure each other, to, keep dreaming together.
And that's what I told him recently. Sorry to cut you off, but we have to continue to date each other. Like, we have to always be dating each other. Like, because I get bored sometimes, and it's like, for me being out here, it's so many distractions and so much going on, and it's like, I need a little more going on here. I need some, So he's good about surprising me with cards and, sending me sweet messages and stuff like that, because,
he carries the romantic sword for you.
Say that one more time.
I
Ella.
just said he carries the romance for you. He
He
steps
has
into
to. I mean, we carry it but too, that came with teaching him
right,
too.
right.
So we did read the 5 love languages together. So
Oh,
that's
good.
another thing that I like to read books with him.
It's fantastic.
Yes. And he really he took so well to that book. That's like one of his favorite books.
What's
now.
his love language?
He goes back and forth, but acts of service, because I have to do so much for him and there's just me. So if I don't show up, if I don't follow through, then there's nobody else to pick up that slack. So right now that means a lot to him. But I feel like once he comes home, it's going to be like, he likes gifts. He likes stuff, shoes and stuff. So yeah.
Gifts
And mine
acts
was
of
definitely
service.
quality time.
Quality time.
Yours is quality time.
Yeah.
He's adopted that one too.
Done a
Quality
good
time.
job.
Because at first he would be doing push-ups and whatever else. And
You're
I'm
like, no,
hey,
no. You can do that when
sure.
I'm not around. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you ever have any doubt or fear or anything come up around what it will be like when you are actually in world together, like in life together? And
yeah, all the time. That is definitely. And so again, I like to keep communication about all this stuff. So if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm just gonna let him know this is how I'm feeling. This is my concern. Or if I have a friend or if I see something on TV or anything, I bring it up. Like, hey, what if this situation arises? Or what if we ever came up against this? Or what if I was terminally ill or anything? What if we lost a child? What if we got pregnant and I'm older in age? I'm 10 years older than him. What if we got pregnant, the baby was going to have mental illness? What will we do? Because I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. So what will we do with that situation? Like, I just bring up all the situations that are a thing. The age is a thing for me. Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Say more about the age difference.
Yeah. So I just feel like, and this has always been a thing, and he's always reassured me. But for me, getting older is like so scary. And then you see these young girls with their BBLs and, their perky boobs.
What's a BBL? Do you know what that is, Leah?
Is that a big butt?
It's everybody's getting the plastic surgery, the BBL surgery, yeah.
Is it for your booty?
Yes.
The booty surgery.
And he's a booty man, and I'm kind of flat back there.
Oh,
I've been working out,
I'm sure he loves your booty.
Yeah, he does. He does.
All men love
He
any
does.
booty, right?
And so that's where he's trying to get me to understand, like, I love you for who you are. Like, I fell in love with you. So before we had ever had sex, we were already married before sex and already doing this prison thing before sex.
Okay.
So he's always reminding me that I fell in love with you before we had ever touched each other. So why is this a thing now? But it's just me.
And you're not alone. I mean, it's so common for us as women because of the culture that we're swimming in of like,
we worship youth and the
Exactly.
beauty of youth.
Yeah.
And he's into older women. So it's like, if I could just get out of my head, it would be way better. That's something I struggle with intimacy too, getting out of my own head.
Sure.
Yeah, I get caught in there.
Yeah. So like when you're in the throes of intimacy, instead of feeling your body and feeling the sensation of his body against your body, you're up in here worrying about whatever.
Yes. I work on that, and that's why we don't need loop anymore, because I'm been working on getting into the groove of things, and that absolutely makes a difference.
Oh, good.
It does make a difference. I think what's unique about your relationship and other like long distance relationships is because you can't necessarily rely on the physical chemistry to carry the ooh-la-las, right? And I think what's extra unique about your relationship and other marriages that where you've got a spouse that's incarcerated is that they have less distractions in their life. Like they're not managing a career necessarily. Although I'm sure some of them, are some people able to work, have like jobs that they're connected to outside that they can still perform inside?
Well, it depends on your support system, but let's clear this thing up because people always will say, oh, he's in prison. Of course he's gonna. There's so many prison dating sites and so many women who are
Really?
specifically looking for men in prison. Don't ever get it twisted that just because a man is incarcerated, he cannot cheat. That's a misconception.
Right.
Mm.
Right. I wasn't going to assume that, but here's an assumption, and maybe you can clear this up for me. My assumption is that they have more space and time to provide undivided attention.
That is the lovely, that will get you all that undivided attention.
To have someone like they can't wait to talk to you, they think about you all day long, they send you emails, they get a chance to be on the phone, man, they're going to take it, and they just are gobbling you up. Like
Yes.
the intimacy and the connection and like romancing the mind. It just seems like
It's
there's
dangerous.
so much to fall in love with
Yes.
in that kind of container.
No, really.
You know?
Really. It is absolutely a beautiful thing. However, you have to really vet your partner and make sure that your partner is your partner because a lot of women get duped by men in prison because of that
Sure.
thing. Because he's always attentive. And like you said, he has nothing but time to listen to you tell him unintentionally everything that you want and need, and then now he can deliver these things. And then you're going to get sold on that thing. So me and my husband did have a point in time where he was having outside relationships. And so for me, I just took a step back and was like, well, you need to assess where you want to be at. And I need to see actions. I need to see this thing happen, this thing happen, this thing happen in order for me to take this seriously. Because right now I feel like you're just telling me what I want to hear.
Mm.
Right.
No.
So how do you ensure that? Like,
It's really hard. So that goes back to what Willow was asking. Do you have these fears? Of course.
Mhm.
Because how can you ever know
Mhm.
that what he's telling you is his word, you know?
Mhm. But you guys have this foundation in place that you agreed upon, this trust, this communication, and honesty.
I've never trusted a man before. Let's start there. I've never trusted a man before. I could barely trust myself half the times. So now I have to put this blind faith in you, and then you ruined that because you lied to me.
Mm.
And I thought we was having good communication. What happened to that?
Mhm.
So now that we've rebuilt and, you know, I still struggle with the trust thing, even though he hasn't given me anything to not trust. It's still there until he can be out here and I can see these things. It's still going to be there.
Well, as you said, trusting yourself is you got to have that in place if you're going to trust anyone else to the core level.
Right.
So is that something that you currently are working on inside of yourself?
Right now, yes, I'm working on that. And also trusting his actions. I love your words, but I'm here for your actions. What are your actions telling me about the situation? Because you could tell me anything. So
but how can he prove his actions? Well, how do you determine actions?
So like with him, if he's telling me that I'm going to get a letter every week, I need to get a letter every week because that's what you told
Gotcha.
me. If you're telling me, okay, I'm going to work out for an hour and in an hour and 30 minutes, I'm going to call you. And then you don't call me until 5 hours later, you're being inconsistent. I can't trust that. So right now
Gotcha.
we are working on consistency. I can trust consistency. That's what I can trust. Like show up when you tell me you're going to show up. Give me something to
Yeah.
trust in or else I just can't.
I mean, that's good advice for any relationship. You know, I think that those are really good, like
Yeah.
measurement tools, measurement pieces. It's like A, consistency, B, do what you say you're going to do, follow through. You know, I imagine in this scenario that he would have more insecurities than you because you have like access to
He don't
all
act
these
like it.
temptations and all these other ways of living life that he doesn't have access to.
I know you would think that, but he's acts so confident in himself. And I just love that. It helps me be more confident too in everything. But I feel like at this point, we already have agreed that we are for each other. No matter what happens, we are for each other. However, we need to communicate. So if I had a feeling like, oh, I saw this man or this woman, oh my gosh, she was so pretty. I want to go out with her. I want to date her, or I want to be intimate with her. I first need to communicate that with him first. Not go be intimate or go hang out and then communicate it. Because that's how things get fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So it sounds like you have some agreements around not having around non-monogamy.
No. So we struggled with this a long time, but I have come to the realization that the more we get into each other, the more we don't want to share each other. And I love him to the point to where I don't want to make him uncomfortable by sharing myself when I know that that's something that he's uncomfortable with. Right.
Yeah.
Even though he has agreed that if I needed to do it, that it can be done, I just choose to not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
How often, like during the month, because, we go through these monthly hormonal cycles as women, and when we're ovulating, our libido's higher. And then right before we have our period, we've got a lot of hormones in our bodies, but it's not like fuck me now kind of hormones. It's more like I want to be held and cuddled and coddled, And so I'm just curious, like, how often are you noticing your body, like, throughout the month with that, like, that craving, that urge to be physically with him?
So prior to him, I was not really into penises like that. And so now I am, and that's just with him. And it's not a come hold me, it's a come fuck me now. Why can't I just fuck me hard? Like, but when I'm there, it's a different story. I don't want it like that. But when I'm here by myself, I'm like, just.
So like in your own energy field, your own fantasy, you're like, I want it now. I want it fast and furious. Yeah. Yeah. Cause he's not there.
Right,
Part of it is because he's not there. But then when you're with him, it shifts. You're
Sweetness.
like, no, I want the intimate sweetness. Yeah.
How comfortable or how uncomfortable are you with like phone sex and email sex and all those other sexy ways when we can't be together?
Right. I'm better at phone sex. I'm way better at that. I'm way better at that. And then when it comes to like, he doesn't talk very much. So when we're on the phone, I carry the conversation. And when we're via text or email, he has to carry the conversation. Cause I don't know I have to say what I need to say. I can't really write what I need to say. So he carries that part, but yeah,
okay.
I can do very well on the phone. Paint the whole picture.
I mean, I know that it's a heavy responsibility on you to like have to manage the household financially, have to manage all the parenting, and like, how do you balance that? How does he balance that?
He's very supportive for one, but all of this came through teaching and learning together and growing together. So, when I notice certain things about myself, I have to communicate that with him. And how can he hold me accountable if he doesn't know? So I was a very private person before, but I'm like, if this man is going to be my partner, he has to know what's going on in order to assist me however he can assist. There is times where he could send money or, when he has a job or whatever he does in there to get money. But, so there is times where he can help me. But if I never say that I need this help, then how is he supposed to help me? If I never tell him that the kids are doing this or my son is acting this type of way, how can he take his father role and help with parenting if I never say these things? Because a lot of women are like, well, he has enough to deal with in there. Okay, well, I have enough to deal with out here. I mean, make it make sense. If we're partners, we're partners. It just is what it is.
Now, I know your daughter is, you know, a teenager, but she's like an older teenager, right? She's 16 yet?
She's 16. Yeah. And he has
And
a
then your son is
14-year-old
younger,
daughter.
right?
Yes.
He's 10 or
8. He just turned
8.
8.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also like different parenting roles, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're at different stages of like development and growing up.
Right.
Where does he have like the strongest influence with both kids? Where can he be the most impactful with them?
So my daughter always uses him to her advantage because he's very supportive. And so if she wanted to go to school because I had her homeschool. So she wanted to go to school. So she'll talk to him about it. And then he'll come talk to me about it. And then, you know, she just keep pushing him so that he
To
can keep
persuade
pushing
you.
me. Yeah, exactly. So she uses him
She's a
in
smart
that.
cookie.
She's got him wrapped around her finger. She's all, I'm
Yes,
16, I'm the queen, I
So
know what I'm doing.
he's very supportive to her, like whatever she's trying to do. He'll try to get me to see her side, or, you know,
Yeah.
he wants to be the mediator.
Yeah.
But the boy, he's just kind of rough. I have to like bring him back in. Like, babe, this is a new day and age. We're raising different kinds of kids. I know, you know, the way we were raised was like, you gotta be rough. It's tough love. But my son is not. You know, he's with me a lot of the time, or my sister. So, no, back in the day, the little boys
they grow up fast.
Exactly. Yeah. But my son is really sheltered, and my husband tries to approach him in that aggressive, and I'm like, babe, that's not him. So he's finally understanding that he requires a different approach.
Yeah, so that will be very interesting when he's back at home with you. That dynamic between the two of them. I imagine, you know, he's fathering his son the best way that he knows how, which has something to do with the way that he was raised. So I mean, that's what we all do as parents, and you know, and then that's going to be such an adjustment for everyone in the family. Now, how much longer? Well, how much longer till he can be back out in the world with you?
We've been fighting a lot of new laws, and one of the laws did get him a release date of 26. It was October 26th, but I think they just changed the month, moved the month up in the year closer. But really, he should be already out because his time was 8 years. And then they gave him a double up sentence. So for every 4 years, they gave him 5 years. So he's doing 10 years of enhancement on top of the 8 years that they already gave him. So, yeah.
Damn.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't
and
make
so
sense.
then the law passed
That's
to
crazy.
where they had to get rid of those enhancements. But I'm still fighting with them. Okay, you passed this law, but he's still there. He's already done his base term. So what are we doing? So, yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah,
That's a whole nother show.
Exactly.
Is there anything that comes to mind for you that is an awareness that people on the outside may not know that they should know, in a way that we might be able to influence through voting, you know, through awareness, through community? What can you tell our audience that might assist other inmates so that we can maybe help change this system?
Definitely voting, and then really vetting who you're voting for, because a lot of people say what needs to be said to get the vote.
Right.
So doing the research on the person, and then like they have like groups, and I do know of Initiate Justice. They have groups that will inform you further. And sometimes we do have points in times where we're trying to get our legislators or our senators or whoever is involved in the movement at the time. We mass email them and mass call their office and tell them, hey, this is happening. You know, like all the prison wives and mothers and sisters and whoever else gets involved. And we do rally and all types of things. So just in your area, just look up different groups that are advocating for prisoners.
Yeah. And if anyone out there has recommendations regarding the latest prison reform, please email support@sexreimagined.com, and we will continue to update the show notes for this episode. So whether you're listening to it when it gets released, whether you're listening to it 5 years from now, we will try to keep the show notes on this episode up to date so that we can all stay better informed. So we welcome any of those suggestions. Okay, so yes, prison sisters, prison wives, prison mothers, prison children. Like, what's the community like, and how involved have you been or not been?
I have been involved. I have not been as involved lately because I'm taking a break from social media right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of these women are, not that I'm not dedicated, but some of these ladies go all the way in. Like, there's one lady who that's how I learned a lot about like different lawyers and like different how to look for the different Senate bills and, you know, figure stuff out, because you literally don't know where to start. It's like so much stuff. And then the legal jargon is just like, what the hell are they talking about?
Language. I mean, shit.
You don't even know what you're reading. You're like, I just read this page 4 times. I don't know anything what it says.
So you definitely have to take out your dictionary to look up these words. No, really. You have to take out your dictionary. And so in the legal sense, words that we use, like person and things of that nature, they don't mean the same thing. So you literally have to research words. Wow. So that's why I joined the group, to get more informed, because how can I help him when I don't know? So I joined different groups, and also to be able to support and everything like that. I mean, nobody understands. First of all, the question always is, why are you involved with a man who's in prison? Because this just so happens to be the man that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
And what makes
love is love, man.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
You love who you love.
And then I had a friend too who would always say, well, he can't do this and he can't do that. Well, your partner is with you and still ain't doing shit. So what?
Right.
And he's not doing that stuff either. Yeah. I think that's one of the things about relationships in general, is like, we can always, like, you know, the grass is greener over there. It looks like this style or that way or whatever is the best way. But there is no best way. It's like, when you love somebody, you co-create a relationship with them that works for both of you. And that's the best relationship.
And every
for
relationship
you,
is going to have its blessings. It's going to have its challenges. And one of the things that really inspired me to want to have this episode is because I wanted to also normalize, like, love is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is.
And just because someone is incarcerated does not mean that they're not worthy of love. Does not mean that they're not worthy of relationships. Does not mean that they're not worthy of fatherhood. Does not mean that they're not worthy of being loved, adored, and having their love be received. And I think it's just a different form of a long distance relationship, and yet it's the same as a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
And I think some of the best relationships are long distance relationships because of the mere fact that it really forces you to communicate and engage with each other on a different level than some other relationships. But we can drift apart from each other just the same. And so I was really struck by, like, and it's also like a story that people don't get to hear love stories very often in this domain. So on the one hand, I want to, like, normalize, like, love is love is love. And also it does have some unique challenges. But as we've even heard today, those challenges aren't that unique. No. You know, like, the truth of the matter is for the same reasons that we disconnect, any relationship disconnects. I know many relationships where hasn't been sex in 2 years.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's not all that different. I mean, I think maybe where it might be surprising for some people to hear is that there is a place where he can contribute financially. I think that might be a surprise. Because I think we all sort of imagine that he would need more resources than he'd be able to provide resources. And but when you think about, like, spouses that are in the military, right? Or spouses that have jobs overseas, they still have to figure out how to parent
Exactly.
over the phone, like
Mhm.
it's unique and yet it's not. And
Right.
I'm wondering what can you say about the unique challenges? Like, are there things that are very different for you and your partnership that you see is not around you that you want to illuminate?
One thing that I see that is unique in my partnership that I don't see in other partnerships.
Yeah.
So I feel like that first of all, the communication and like, I just feel like we do have relationship issues, but the things that my peers complain about, I don't have those issues. Like even though we have had times where there has been infidelity, and that's been on both parts, but I really don't have that issue. Like, is he talking to this girl, or is he this and this and that? If it is, it's just something within me, not because of something somebody else has said or somebody else has done. Because if there's another woman in the picture, she definitely wants to make herself be known for whatever reason. So I just never had to worry about that issue. And when he was doing it, it was never a secret. He was doing it right in my face. That's what was even more like, but yeah, like communication and just like, I feel like we really love each other. Like, we're in love with each other. We're not just going through the motions or just, comfortable with each other. Like, we're actively working on a marriage together.
Yeah.
And I just don't see people really doing that because they're too busy trying to point the finger or playing the blame game. Well, you did this and you did that, or you made me feel some type of way. No, you did something that he didn't like or she didn't like, and you chose to feel some type of way. That's a choice. You can choose to not, or just state your case. I felt this way when you did X, Y, Z. How can we move forward from it?
Right.
That's my spill on that.
It's really beautiful how you both are working on this marriage before you even get to the point where, like, you both have never really lived together outside of being a prison wife. You haven't been a non-prison wife. And so, once you get to that stage of being together, I think you guys are going to have so much more foundation and so much more tools to work with, than the average couple who sort of like gets together in life and then starts going through life. And there's so many distractions in the outer world and in life. And it's just the foundation never really gets laid down the way that you guys have. So I think that's a huge leg up.
So that just goes back to what you said, Leah, about how they have so much time. And so I feel like maybe sometimes either the husband or wife or both collectively don't realize this time. And so use this time to your advantage, instead of looking at like, oh, he's gone, he's this, he's that. I'm always trying to think about ways to, figure this out, or what else can I learn about him, or what else can I teach him about me? And I have to teach him how to parent the kids, or we have to agree upon a method that works for both of us. Then what he always says is there's no big I, little you? Is that how that saying goes?
I don't know that saying.
I don't know
Yeah, he
that
always
saying.
says there's no big I, little you. So it's like we try to even incorporate the kids in being a part of the family. Like, everybody is a part of this. And everybody has a job and everybody has a role. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the hardest part?
The hardest part for me is that, like I've said, I don't know if I feel like I said this, but I've never trusted and I've never been faithful in a relationship prior to this. And so, like, just even like continuing to be selfless, because a lot of times I have to think about him and the kids before I would make a move with anything, I have to put them first. So that's hard for me to do because I'm out here living a single woman's life, but I'm married.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is hard. Yeah, you have to dig deep within yourself to really find congruence with that dichotomy, with that sort of dualistic
Yeah.
And I know that
reality
that
that you're
really
in.
inspires some of your work.
Mm.
Can you tell us about like what
Tell
you're
us about
passionate about,
that.
how you love to work in the world, and how this all informs your mission?
Well, I really just want to teach other women, single moms and prison wives, how to, um, so we have to know who we are in order to teach them how to love us, you know? And then on top of that, we have to help them understand who they are in order to understand how to fully love them. So how the saying goes, to know me is to love me. So if I know who I am, I could show you who I am and teach you how to love me, and then help you understand who you are so you can teach me how to love you. So that's why I'm trying to help people just see themselves, you know? And this is something that I struggle with and I'm still working through. But in teaching other people, everybody looks at things differently. So if I can give you my perspective and Leah can give her perspective, Willow can give her perspective, we can come together and, help each other. So that's what I'm working on doing. And I also have a community coming up that I've been working on too. So
Oh yeah, tell us about the community.
yes, so it's called the Growth Oasis, and it's just basically I'm working on helping people have a paradigm shift, because it really is, like, for me, a mental garden. So we all have insecurities or things that we struggle with. And so if I keep watering those seeds of doubt or having a bad body image, if I keep watering those seeds, those are the seeds that are going to grow. Those are weeds in my mental garden. So I have to be planting positive seeds and receiving the seeds that my husband is planting, my kids are planting, and I have to water those and nurture those seeds and pruning all other seeds, and then knowing what season I'm in and what seeds are going to flourish in that season.
What do you mean? Tell us more about what you mean by what season you're in.
Right now, it can be like a literal season or just a point in time, but I do get seasonal depression. So I have to be more mindful of myself and think. Prior to this call, I was a nervous wreck and I had to breathe. And my husband was like, babe, this is your life. You can talk about this. It's fine. But there wasn't very much sun out there. It was all gloomy and I was feeling some type of way. So I had to remind myself, like, hey, you already know that this is a thing. You already, like your husband said, this is your life. You could talk about this. It's fine. So I had to self-talk myself and water my positive seeds that were germinating in there. And, everything is a lesson or a blessing or whatever the case may be. So just knowing that, okay, I just got in a car accident. My car is totaled. This is the season that I'm in. How am I going to, water my funds or whatever needs to be watered or germinated, grown, whatever needs to happen?
Right.
How am I going to do this? Because the longer that we sit in it is going to be the longer that we sit in it. And there's always something that can be done, There's something that can be done.
That's beautiful.
I love that you're bringing up these seasons of life, because that's a lot of the work that I do. I work quite closely with the seasons as a Taoist practitioner, and I see that we go through the seasons every single moon cycle, especially as women with a menstrual cycle. But even women in postmenopause still have a moon cycle.
And
we
men
all do,
too,
because we're
right?
all made up of water and we are all pulled. And men too, exactly. All of us, children, dogs. I mean, any being that's made up of some water has a moon cycle. And so we go through the 4 seasons every single month. And then we also go through these seasons throughout our life. And it's so useful to identify and to be like, okay, this is the season I'm in. I'm in a hibernation period right now. What does that mean? That means more self-care, more baths, more soup,
Yes,
more
yes,
yoga, whatever, you know?
yeah.
I'm in that period right now. Can you tell? And and then we go through seasons where it's like it's an expansion, you know, it's a summer season of our life. You know, I think it's so powerful to pay attention to it on a monthly basis as well, because then we have the tools that we need when we go through it more globally in our lives.
I like that. Yeah, you're sun-kissed.
I know the sun is just shining so prettily on you. You've got sun
Very
rays
bright.
all over you, Willow.
I was
Blinding me.
I was mentoring a group of teenage girls, and I didn't really think about it how you just said, like how every month is like a moon cycle. However, I would tell them, like, you know, sometimes when you're gonna start your cycle, maybe you don't understand those feelings that you're having, but you should pay attention to those feelings because it's your hormones. You're gonna start your cycle. And a lot of women don't teach their daughters that. A lot of women don't understand that about themselves.
It's shocking how many women don't know. Yeah.
I have to teach my husband that. Like, babe, I'm about to start my cycle. That's why I'm being this way. So now he knows, like, are you about to start your cycle? Because you acting some type of way right now.
You've trained him well. Very good. So that's one of the beautiful things about knowing that about yourself. And you, like you were saying, Neeks, you know, like really knowing yourself and teaching that to your partner is one of the big things that many women miss in relationship. They just expect their partner to know these things about them. And like you said, most women don't know that about themselves. In my sort of lineage, it's the fall phase is right before you have your period. So it's fall season of clearing and letting go. And what do you need to release so that you actually have space inside of your being to be in that winter phase, which is when your period starts. So that's the hibernation period. You know, that's when you get to recalibrate, like, who am I? What's my truth now? And so useful to have this information. I'm so glad that you're out there teaching it to teens and teaching it to prison men. I mean, it's just amazing. Thank God for you.
Check out her Growth Oasis program, and we will have information on that in the show notes, morethanaprisonwife.info. And thanks for saying yes to being on the podcast and, you know, sharing so beautifully and bravely about this part of your life with our audience and just being you.
Thank you. I
love
appreciate
you.
both of you. Thank you. I love you too.
Such a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming.
Love, love, love.
Now, our favorite part, the dish.
It's time to dish it up. We're gonna dish it up.
Dishity-doo-dah. I know. This was like one of the most unique and interesting episodes we've done with Simply Neeks as a prison wife, one who has the relationship has always been within the prison reality
System.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what a different approach to co-creating a marriage. They've been married for 7 years and together for 10. And,
right.
You know, even though we saw like, okay, yeah, relationship is relationship, love is love. Any way you slice it and dice it, you know, it doesn't matter if it's in the prison system or out in the world, like all the same shit comes up. But because of the prison experience, there's more foundation inside of their relationship. There has to be more boundaries and more parameters in order for them to co-create a trusting relationship that will last.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to kind of go in a different direction of like, yeah, I mean, we saw so many parallels in the episode of like, yeah, I know a couple that goes through that. And yeah, that happens in relationships. You know, there's a lot of similarities actually in many relationships that people are finding in that dynamic in prison too, that I think maybe we'd be surprised at. But one thing that we aren't burdened with for those of us who are not in a relationship with someone who's incarcerated is the bureaucracy.
Yes.
I mean, like the stressful stuff of like having to never knowing when they're actually going to get out and having to like fight for whatever rights they do have, and managing, like, you arrive for this visit and you know they're not going to be on time, they're going to be a hassle, they're going to kick you out early, they're going to put you in late, but then there's surprising things like go California. Like, I just want to say I'm so impressed that they have family weekends where the family can come and spend the night and have a little apartment and you can all be together, and you can even, the kids can even play outside. Like, that's really special. Kind of sucks that they have to do a check-in every hour, especially in the middle of the night. How annoying.
Oh, God.
But shit, only 4 states
have conjugal visits, was just shocking. I mean, that's just inhumane.
Shocking.
So pay attention to what you're voting for, who you're voting for when it comes to prisoners, because they are humans too. Sure, they made mistakes in life, but as you're saying this, Leah, I'm like, wow, it really does take a special woman. Like, she is a special woman, you know, to build and to create, because she fell in love with somebody who happened to be in prison. I mean, what are you going to do? You love who you love. And she has really co-created with him a beautiful relationship, and I'm just so excited for them to be together out of prison life and to not have all those restrictions. I mean, relationships are hard enough as they are, but then when you've got these external restrictions weighing down the whole dynamic, I mean, that's got to be exhausting.
Well, and then entering back into civilian life, I mean,
that's going to be a challenge too.
That's always a host of challenges,
Yeah.
and all the. I mean, I hope to be present for that transition for both of them, and to be a part of their support system, and I mean, what an incredible book, that she's gonna have.
Yeah. Is she writing a book
with this experience? I don't know, but she should.
She definitely should.
You know, I mean, to not only talk about this phase of things, but when he does get out, and I think they'll have every reason to be successful and hopefully make that transition. I'm sure it's going to come with a lot of challenges and some rewards, but to see them get through that phase, I mean, what an incredible book. What encouragement she'd be able to offer other people.
Yeah. And she is already building a community where she is offering other prison wives or women who are getting involved with prisoners, like foundation and how to, and like, what does
Single
it take?
moms are invited to that too.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful offering.
Yeah, I love it. The what does she call it? The Growth Oasis.
Yeah, the Growth Oasis. Great name.
That's a great name for
what she's doing.
Process and a product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hope you loved this episode as much as we did. Would love for you to comment, subscribe, and help us share this podcast worldwide by letting us know what you think of the show.
Yeah, give us a rating on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and subscribe on YouTube. That will help us get us out.
Okay, lovies.
Ciao.
Love.
Thanks for tuning in. If the hosts seem to know what they were talking about, that's because they do. Leah Piper is a tantric sex master coach and a positive psychology facilitator. Dr. Willow Brown is both a Chinese and functional medicine doctor and a Taoist sexology teacher. Don't forget, your comments, likes, subscribes, and suggestions matter. Let's realize this new world together.